My name's Tom Alsop, and today I'm going to help you to develop an efficient, effortless one-handed backhand. If you're able to listen to your body, it's going to tell you what it wants you to do. Mine keeps saying it wants some beer, but we're talking about tennis. We're talking about the one-handed backhand. If you swing the racket around your body should be able to give you some feedback. Hopefully it can give you some feedback on how to move this racket effortlessly. To help you to understand this concept, grab yourself 2 rackets. Hopefully your hands are big enough. And swing these 2 rackets like you're hitting a one-handed backhand. Now it should give you a little bit more feedback, because if you start to swing this around your body like that, it's going to feel a little bit heavy. Now I'm not the strongest guy in the world. And if you're really strong, maybe you can start to really muscle it, and maybe this will feel light. But for me, I like to feel the weight of the racket, and I want the weight of these rackets to guide me in the right direction. So if I move this in the most efficient, effortless way possible, what you'll find is, first of all, I start with my arm a little bit bent, because if I start with it straight, it's going to feel a little bit heavy. And you can think about this being really heavy, right? You can use your imagination a little bit. If this was 10 times heavier, I don't want to be in this position. I want to be in this position. I want my arm bent so that I can throw it out there and just use momentum to carry that racket through the imaginary contact point. At the end of the swing, what my body's telling me to do is to bend my elbow. Now, we don't want it to bend through here, but once we get to the finish of this swing, if I bend the elbow, it takes a lot of pressure off my body, and it allows the racket to come to a very smooth stop. If I listen to my wrist wants to return back to neutral. So this position here is the same as it was on contact. Now let me get rid of one of these rackets. Do that same swing. You can see the finish of this shot here is the same position as here. So even though I may roll the wrist and the arm through the shot, once I get up here, my arm bends, I'm going to try and return this back to a neutral position. I really like the idea of the racket finishing to the inside of the hand. If it finishes to the outside, I'm not going to say it's wrong, but for me it feels a little bit too loose. The racket feels, it's not that it feels heavy, like I can't pick it up. I'm not that weak. But I want to feel pretty strong as I'm swinging something. And once it gets over here, I feel like the racket is pulling me around a little bit, and I'm losing a bit of control of the racket head. So as I swing, start from the beginning, bending my arm, letting this release through the shot a little bit, bending my arm slightly at the end of the shot, and returning this wrist back to this neutral position. If I do that, I really feel like I can accelerate the racket head and feel pretty strong and stable. It's very important that the finish of your shot acts as a good brake system. You want to be able to slow the racket down effortlessly. And an analogy I've used in other videos talking about other shots is when your brakes are good, it gives you confidence to accelerate. Now, if your brakes are crap, you can still accelerate, but you may lose control. So for me, when I get to the end of this shot, if I can bend my elbow and return that racket and wrist back to neutral, back to this position, it gives me confidence to accelerate through the contact point. This is why I don't consider Stan Wawrinka's backhand to be a technically solid model for the average tennis player. I should probably just cut the video right there. I'm probably going to get a lot more comments if I do that. But let me go into a bit more detail. Obviously, it's a fantastic backhand. I love to watch it. Probably one of the best backhands of all time. But as a model, it's very difficult for me to get my head around executing that kind of shot, because I think it requires a lot of strength. He finishes, I'm not going to copy this because I'm probably going to get it wrong, but he finishes the shot over here quite a lot. Requires a lot of muscle to get through that strike and to really stop the racket. Whereas someone like Richard Gasquet, he's swinging very effortless, not a very strong guy, relatively speaking. And he's using this finish where he's swinging up over his head, bending the elbow, rolling the wrist, and it's very easy to move the racket like that. I'd be very interested to hear your opinions on who has the greatest one-handed backhand of all time, but also who has the best one to copy. Who's got the most textbook one-handed backhand for your average tennis player to try to imitate and learn from. I'm going to leave you with a couple of clips from a video analysis client where I took his swing from this circular motion where he's swinging around his body, quite often coming across the ball because of that, to a more linear swing where he's coming up over his shoulder. And I think technically it's far more sound now. If you'd like me to help you with your game, we can work together through my video analysis program at tpatennis.com. Thanks for watching.